Welcome back to the Compressor Guru. Today we're going to be putting the crankshaft in the crankcase of a 705 Saylor-Beall. This is actually part 3 of the rebuild of the Saylor-Beall 705. And now, here's the Compressor Guru.
Thank you, camera wife. That was a much friendlier introduction than
I was going to add other things, but I changed my mind.
The one you did a few minutes ago for a future episode. So, we're working on this 705 today, folks. And we're going to put the crankshaft back in. But I want to tell you that these have never been touched. These are 1999 5 horsepower units. They were installed in a Jiffy Lube type franchise. And these are totally original, and Saylor-Beall makes a very good, very long-lasting machine. And value-wise, they're pretty good, but they're more expensive than, say, your Ingersolls or your QT series Quincy. I think this might be the very first Saylor-Beall I've ever been into that nobody's ever touched before. And I'll say this, there's something I don't like about them. Everything in this machine has been glued together so tight, and the bolts have been put in either with a Loctite or a thread sealant. So one of the very first things we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to clean out some threads. I borrowed a tap and die kit that I sold one of my customers. He loaned it back to me for this episode, and I want to take a minute and show it to you because this is a gear wrench tap and die kit that's both metric and standard. And then we're going to chase some bolt holes, and we'll speed that up because it's boring after we get started. But they use so much pipe dope on threads or Loctite. I want to make sure we don't have a problem getting the right torque on the bolts when we are going back into this. If you're interested in a kit like this, contact me through the Compressor Guru, and we'd glad to give you a current price on it. We've sold maybe a dozen, maybe a few more of these over the years. We have never had a complaint. These are a high quality, nice kit with really nice T-handles that ratchet. We'll show you how they work here in a second. So here we have a starter tap. It's a 5/16 coarse thread, and this gizmo, and you'll see why this is interesting, but it's got a square end to it, and it's very simple to wind it out a little bit, slip that in.
Oh, like a drill.
It's a chuck, yes.
Yeah.
And we'll get it started here, and then we'll take the handle, we'll slip the handle on. Whoop, that's going the wrong way. Oh no, it wasn't. There we go. Up.
There you go. It's a propeller. It's going to take off any minute, folks.
And I got my finger in on the inside. I'm going to see what kind of, and there's what we chased out of the thread.
Wait, let me get us straight. Let me see flat finger toward me. Go like this. That's what I want with me.
And that's why we're chasing the threads. I washed this out today in the parts washer, but obviously there's stuff stuck in the threads, and that's why we're doing this. Reverse the handle, and out we come. And then I'll blow brake clean through each of the holes. And we'll be back after the fast forward section, but we're going to do all these holes. And I can tell just that I don't know what they put in this from the factory, but that is turning fairly hard. There we go, we're loosening up, we're all the way through. Reverse it,
Oh boy, he's going to show us his finger again.
I don't know if it's as dirty as the other one, but I don't feel as much grit. Oh yeah.
Move, put it down. Wait, I get in on it here. Ew. Okay.
Uh-oh. Now.
And then I have to zoom out so we can see what you did there.
See how, as we go in, we're hitting
Oh,
the oil
yeah.
drain. And this being a ratchet doesn't mean we have to grab a new hold every time. Oh, I just did that.
Unless you leave it come off.
Now, I should be able to run that out easy, yes. That one wasn't near as dirty. So folks, this is a gear wrench tap and die set, and it did get some crud stuck in the things. Crud's a highly technical term for dirt. Put it in the last one, and then we've got a bunch of holes on the other side of the crankcase, and we're going to do those all off camera, but we'll be back to continue with our reassembly of the crankcase and crankshaft.
Don't you have to do the middle hole on the bottom too?
That's not threaded, that's a drain hole for oil.
Oh, it's the same size as these holes.
Yeah, but they didn't thread it because it's not a threaded hole. It's an oil return.
Huh.
Through the magic of the camera, all the holes had been tapped, and I basically recleaned the crankcase because so much crap came out of the holes. With these Saylor-Bealls, this is a necessary step. So the next step is we're going to put the crankshaft in.
That looks really nice.
Well, thank you.
Well, I mean, like it's all shiny and stuff where it wasn't before.
Thank you, camera wife.
You're welcome. Go ahead.
Anything else we want to talk about?
Nope, you're okay.
Don't want to welcome them to season 6?
No.
Okay, this is season 6, folks. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this through the way it's supposed to. And by the way, we did not replace the main bearings on this. We didn't do that because, quite frankly, there's no wear on them. Uh-oh.
I hope the other camera's getting this.
I hope it is. There we go. Now, I'm going to just ease that down there with the gasket on. Now, off camera, I did put the new seal in. Now, the difference between this and the Quincy is when we're shimming a crankshaft on a Quincy, we'll get it shimmed and then we'll put the seal in last. The way this one goes together, it's rather convenient in the respect that...
Can I see the other side of that? The side that's towards you that has the gap. Wait a minute till I'm adjusted. Oh, okay.
It's convenient in the respect that the adjustment's done on the other end and the crankshaft isn't moving around damaging the seal during this adjustment. So, you know what we are going to get? We're going to get a drop of oil. Okay, so I put some oil on the shaft so we didn't do any damage to the seal putting it on. The gasket's on, And this is the touchiest part of the entire operation. And camera wife, I might have to have you step in here for this.
To go to the other side?
No, I got it. Never mind.
Okay.
To literally help me with that.
But you know, there's a pay increase if I have to help you work too, in addition to shooting.
I'll double your pay.
Wow.
Okay, that's started. We're going to start all our bolts. While I'm starting these bolts, I am going to take, and after we're all shimmed up, I am going to talk to the factory, find out what kind of Loctite they put on these, because all these holes are threaded all the way through, and we do not want to have a leaking problem. So, I'd normally fast forward through this, but I want to tell you about a couple conversations I had this week. I run into a guy, I was buying a belt, and we started talking about God and things, and he's a Christian, but he doesn't go to church. I'm like, why not? Well, the church they did something that bothered me when I was a kid. They only did it once, but I never go back. And I'm like, you know, there's a lot out there for you in the church. You know, you need to go there to get fed. And I didn't push it. That's about all I said. But then the other day I run into a guy. It's the only second time I met him. And I invited him to one of our CMA meetings. And nice guy. And he says, well, I believe, but I keep my religion real private. And I started thinking about the word private. And there's a giant difference between private and personal. Your relationship with Christ is personal. But it doesn't mean it's private. You know, the one thing Jesus did tell us to go do was to go tell the world who he is and what he's done for us. And in Acts, I think it's Acts 2, Fellowship of Believers, wonderful passage. And it talks about the church meets and they eat together and they teach and they pray, and the Lord adds daily to their numbers, and it's the model for what the church is. Guys, if you don't have a church, if you're a believer and don't have a church, you're missing something. There's really something out there for us as believers. You have a church family, and that church family is just about as important as your own family. Maybe it is as important as your own family. But that church family means so much, and you need that connection. You need to help others by going to church. Others will help you by being there. And I don't mean, they're going to mow your grass if you need it. They might do that. But what I'm talking about is I have a couple friends at church. If I miss 2 weeks in a row, one of them's calling me going, where you at? Well, I've been out doing ministry. I've been doing this or doing that, or I didn't feel good. Didn't want to pass it around. But they keep me accountable. They worry about me. I worry about them. And that's part of the real church life. It's not just going and sitting down and listening to the band play and what preachers had to say. But these two guys, this happened all in the last week. And there's one more thing about this. I saw it on Facebook. Guys running around with a church, or guys running around with a shirt, and it said, if you were hurt by the church, that's people, not God. Get back in church. So these are about appropriately tight, and we're going to go to the other end now. And I tell you what, instead of having the camera wife move the cameras, I'm just going to swing this 180 degrees. That seals in, and before we do final assembly, after we have this shimmed, I'll take these bolts back out and put the sealant on them that Saylor-Beall recommends.
Take this up just slightly to where you are.
You taping?
I am with this one, but wait till I come around to the other one.
What you see me doing there was I was giving the bearings a little drink of oil, so we had no stiffness in the bearing. I'm going, why are you talking in the camera if it doesn't have the other camera going? Because I'm in a hurry to get this done.
So it would be very helpful for the camera wife if you were to move the...
Coke and oil.
Thank you.
Okay, so I know we can't do anything about this, but rolling this over, there is no tension on that crankshaft. We don't want it loose where there's any end play, and there's no end play in it right now. That's partially because we didn't move the races in either the seal holder or the end of the crankshaft or the end of the crankcase here where it goes. So right now, if we could bolt up the adjustment plate, it'd be perfect, but it's not perfect. What I did do, there's one shim left on here, and these shims were glued on here. I did lose one shim when I took it off. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it on, and we're going to bolt it up, and we're going to see if it gets tight. Now, you may have seen me giving it a drink of oil on the bearings so that we won't have any issues with the, start that through. We won't have any issues with the bearings being dry and changing the way it feels when it rolls over. I did soak these bolts in gasoline and wipe them off so they were relatively clean as far as the threads go, because this thing is all boogered up. What do you think, camera wife?
Sure.
Okay. A woman of many words.
So you know, before, when you were talking,
I talk all the time.
and I know, and you said there was somebody you had talked to, I thought you were going to bring up the fact that we were on a ride.
Yeah. We took a car because it was cold and wet and had other things to do.
And
a motorcycle ride.
but there was a guy that was like, well, you look really familiar to me.
I got recognized as what she's trying to spit out. That was kind of fun. But you know, I only had 3,000 subscribers. There's not going to be that many people recognize me. Especially when I don't really get much outside of the circle of 60 or 70 miles. Now, we didn't change our rolling resistance at all when we tightened this up. We might I need a narrow wall. I'm gonna get a wrench. So, I'm going to take this apart going to peel one shim off. I'm going to save that shim, and then I'm going to put it back together, and I'm going to put it back on, and if it tightens up, I'm going to put the shim back in. If it doesn't tighten up, we're going to take another shim out.
What?
These are called shims. These are brand new shims.
Lower them. Thank you.
These are shims. These are brand new shims, and these are glued to, the old ones are glued to it. And these have different thicknesses, and you can't really tell from the camera, but I'm certain the blue's one thickness, the brown's a thicker thickness, and we lost a silver when I took it apart, because when I took it apart, the glue and the tension broke one. But because we may not have to take another out because we already took one out. I'm saying that because we have a little bit of, the bearings may have worn just enough to let us get away with one less shim. We're going to find out. Because right now, if we take a shim out and it tightens up, we'll put a shim back in.
So you mean by tightening up, like you can't turn it as
The
well?
crankshaft will turn harder. Rolling resistance, essentially.
Do you want it to turn harder?
No. I want it turning just like this.
Then why are we doing this?
Because if there's too many shims in and that bearing works a little bit this way, the crankshaft will end up in end play and wear things out prematurely. So we are looking for a zero clearance with no tension rolling. It's basically the same thing as the way we adjust Quincy crankshafts, because they've got a Timken type roller bearing, but with the Quincy shafts, they're a little more fussy in the respect that the seal is in the adjustment plate, and once you have it adjusted is when you put the seal in on the last time, because you might have to take it off 2, 3, 4 times to get your crankshaft adjusted right. With this one,
So even though we liked how this happened, we're checking it just in case we can get it better.
that's right, paranoid people live longer. Huh? Oh, important. This is an oil drain hole, and it needs to go to the bottom. It was at the bottom, I knew that.
Wait, which one's an oil drain hole?
The one at the bottom right there. That's an oil drain hole, and it needs to match up to that.
So it matches the two holes up together.
Yes.
Okay.
And the oil that lubricates this, if it comes out and ends up in here, will drop down and, well, if it's in here, it'll end up in that hole and go back into the oil reservoir in the crankcase. So we're going to carefully, I'm going to do it here, carefully try to get one shim off. See how they painted the shims on? They used the sealant there. There we go. The edge of one going.
Won't it hurt it to take it out?
I might be able to reuse that, but now we're going to redo it, and we've narrowed it up by the thickness of that shim. Now we're going to put it back on and check it all again, okay?
And the next one was okay on there.
Yeah, the next one's okay.
We didn't have to use one of our new ones.
Nope. If we put a new one in, camera wife, we'll be adding to the thickness, and we're actually trying to take the thickness out.
So it's on a diet.
Yep, like me. I'm back on my diet, folks.
And it makes him so pleasant. I'm smiling behind the camera. I bet you could tell. Now, do you have to screw those in tight before you know if it's going to hold it the way it should?
Yeah, if we don't screw them in tight, we don't know. And I appreciate every one of them, I really do. Okay, we got a little tighter there.
So let's take it back out.
We're going to take this
No,
back.
let's put it back in.
That's right.
Let's take it out so we can put it back in.
Yeah, that got a little tighter. This shim is going back in. We'll flatten it out real nice and we'll put her back in.
Now, do we already have a new one of that same kind?
I could get a micrometer out and find out if I have a new one. Do you want me to mic it and see if I have a new one?
That's totally up to you, but it seems
Sounds like it isn't.
it seems like if
So if you're looking for parts, give me a call. Be glad to help you out. Contact me through thecompressorguru.com. I did that for her because she sings it all the time. Folks, I am going to mic this. Give me a second.
So he has the little micrometer out.
And it is there. I got a new 10 thousandths shim to replace the 11 thousandths shim.
Is that a good deal?
We're going to do it.
Okay.
These are not little C-clamps, camera wife. Just wanted to say it out loud.
What?
What?
What little C-clamp? That was your tool. That was
That's
your
a
micrometer.
Yes. It is not a little C-clamp.
Well, I didn't say it was.
Okay.
Man, need a little touchy. So what'd you do?
I took a used 11 thousandths out, and this one seems to measure 10 thousandths.
Well, what did you spray?
I blew that little oil galley hole out with.
Well, show me. Turn it. Thank you. Man.
I blew it out with brake clean to make sure there wasn't any debris in there.
And so you sprayed that on there to blow stuff off.
Yeah,
Did
the
you
oil,
blow air in there?
No,
So-
I blew brake clean.
Brake clean. Okay.
And I blew it through there to make sure there was no debris in there. Because this thing's perfectly clean after I've cleaned it. I cleaned it before we tapped the holes. Then I had to clean the whole thing again because the holes had so much crap in them.
Wow, it's like you're a housewife. You have to clean things twice. He loves me.
I didn't know you were ever married in the house.
I never was. Never will be. That housework will be there when I'm dead and gone. But the people, they are the more important thing. Relationships and people, folks.
What's the most important relationship?
With Christ.
There we go. Since this is season 6, I'm going to take this non-fast forward opportunity to say we might change our day. For 5 years, we've released every other Monday at 11 a.m. I think we're going to go to Wednesdays at 11 a.m.
Why?
So I'm not working Sunday afternoons getting things ready for
Get your work
this.
done ahead of time. You don't have to
I
work
run a
Sunday
business.
afternoon.
I run a business too. This isn't what I do for a living.
Wine.
I'm active in ministry.
Yeah.
I'm active in my church.
Yeah. The day doesn't really matter.
And we got a pretty good sermon today about not working as hard on Sundays.
Uh-huh.
So there's too many Sunday afternoons I'm in here doing this, getting a video ready for Monday.
Boy, that looks so nice and clean.
What?
It looks so nice and clean on there.
Okay, good. So folks, I tightened these up and we still are a little tight on the way the crankshaft turns. So I got my brass punch here and I'm going to bump. And I'm going to bump over here. So move those races back out. Here we go. Before, I'm going to check it one more time now. Good. So the races push in on the Timken bearings on each side. When we put this plate in, it pushed those races together in the crankcase and put a little pressure on the crankshaft and made it hard to turn. So what I did there, I took the drift and a hammer and I bumped each way on the crankshaft so to knock those races back out the little wee bit we pushed them. And now it'll almost spin after I let go of it. It's not tight and the bolts are tight. Folks, that's how to shim your crankshaft and install your crankshaft. This goes on with a gasket. This pin goes inside of this Schrader valve. That's your centrifugal unloader. But I'm not putting that on right now because I've got to talk to Saylor-Beall, find out what sealant they use on their bolts, and I've got to take these bolts out one more time, put sealant on them, and lock them in. And then we'll put this on off camera.
Is there a gasket in there
Yes,
on that too?
gasket's right there.
Oh, okay.
But folks, welcome to season 6. I thank you. God bless you. And yeah, every once in a while I preach at you, but I'm not preaching at you. I'm just letting you know I care about you. Incidentally, I just looked at the rod journals. I did polish. I shoelaced the rod journals with 320 real quick just to make sure they look real pretty for when we put the rods on. So that's it. Thank you. Like and subscribe. God bless. Share with your friends. If you need anything, contact me through thecompressorguru.com. You have anything else to say, camera wife?
Have a wonderful day, folks. The sun's shining here.
Yeah, it's still cold. So